Thank you for tuning in and welcome back. Don't we all fantasize, daydream that we are in some wonderful land like heaven where day-to-day drudgery, strife and misery doesn't have a place? Aren't we all swooning and fantasizing about our romantic relationships, imagining that the person that we are with is only perfect and has no flaws? As parents, aren't we always believing that our children are superlatively intelligent, can do no wrong, and are completely on top of things? Yes, the fantasy-prone person is one who constantly daydreams, creatively imagines, and lives in a dream world of his or her own. However, sometimes the fantasy-prone person loses touch with reality. Imagination can be a double-edged sword. You may have heard of the famous psychiatrist Dr. Viktor Frankl, who was put in the concentration camp of Auschwitz. His imagination, his creative dream world, and his fantasy that he was writing a book and being able to help his patients kept him alive. In that case, the fantasy-prone person used his imagination to his advantage to bear the suffering that the concentration camp was putting him through. However, fantasy can also backfire. I have a client who's been in a relationship for more than a year now, who sees her boyfriend as absolutely perfect, who can do no wrong. She refuses to accept the reality that faces her. She doesn't see his self-centricity, his lack of empathy for her needs, his manipulation, and his wanting the relationship in only a one-sided manner. I've seen so many parents who refuse to accept the fact that their child is extremely ordinary in his intellectual capacities. They overestimate the mathematical capacity of the child, refusing to believe that he possibly gets only 60 to 70% in math, and attribute those poor or very ordinary scores to his inability to concentrate. They push him to give the JEE entrance exam, only to realize that the child has no ability to be an engineer. If you look at these examples, they all connote an aspect of refusal to accept reality. It has happened to me many a time where I overestimate the characteristics and the qualities of people I meet, and then I have to remind myself that however difficult reality is, let me get off that fantasy proneness which I have and see people for what they really are. You may also want to ask yourself, how much of fantasies do you live in? Do you overestimate your own ability, fantasizing that you're far more accomplished than you really are? Do you overestimate the abilities of the people you love and imagine that they're all perfect and can do no wrong? Do you imagine your children as having only abilities, not accepting their lacunas and their limitations? The fantasy-prone person can sometimes have extremely rude shocks, and it is time for us to get sturdier and sturdier to accept reality. Fantasy helps, but it also harms. Let's understand whether our fantasies facilitate or they come in our way. Stay well, stay safe. If you like what you hear, please feel free to share this video. And if you'd like to write to me, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Till next week, it's goodbye.